and welcome to another episode of Big Sean's Power 10. Now, for this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about Notre Dame football and the upcoming 2009 season. Now, we're coming off a 7-6 year, and I know that's not really a season for the ages, but despite a 7-6 season, it beats the hell out of a 3-9 year like we had in 07, and really, I saw a lot of positive things happen from last year. Now, for starters, the big one, we won our first bowl game in 15 years by defeating Hawaii in the Hawaii Bowl. And pretty convincingly, Jimmy Clausen was 22 of 26, had 4 touchdown passes, I believe, and threw for over 400 yards. Talk about a coming out party. And, you know, honestly, I know you probably wouldn't be able to tell this from seeing the notes on paper, but I really think we have one of the most dominating running back cores in all of college football in Armando Allen, James Aldridge, and Robert Hughes. But the thing is, I know they're better than what they did last year, but the thing is, our offensive line has got to start opening up the holes for those running backs. Because if you can open up the holes, look out. Those guys will run all over you, and you'll have a lot of points on the board. And a couple of things that I know that we need to improve on is our consistency. We didn't have too much of it last year. And some games that I watched, it didn't even look like that the players knew what they were doing. It's like they'd never played the game before. Now, I understand you're going to go into, you know, when you're on the road playing in tough stadiums like the Big House or, you know, the Coliseum in Los Angeles, you're gonna be nervous, and that's natural. But the thing is, which is another point that I want to make, is you have to be able to execute the plays. I mean, anyone who's put on the pads knows that you got to execute. You got to be talking out there, communicating with your teammates, and doing your job and executing the play. And if you do that, you will succeed. Now, another problem that I noticed from last year is being able to finish off games. You play 60 minutes of football, not 45, not 50, 60. And for 3 games that I know of, Notre Dame didn't do that. They had Pittsburgh beat. They had, who was the other 2? North Carolina beat. They had Syracuse beat. And they didn't just have them beat. They had them beat pretty substantially, but they let them creep back into it. Now, if you want to be a national championship football team, you can't do stuff like that. You have to finish off your opponents. But anyway, away with the bad, on to the good. And like I said, this team has a lot of potential and a lot of talent just waiting to explode. Michael Floyd and Golden Tate, 2 of the best receivers that I've ever seen. They're really fast, and they've got great hands. And I think if once the consistency and the execution comes into play, they will be a force to reckon with. And I hope I'm right on that. And, you know, this didn't really have much of a factor last year because it was mainly all of Charlie's guys that were playing. But really, the 2009 season is a make-or-break year for Charlie Weiss. Now, I know that the university considered firing him. And myself, personally, I don't think Charlie's a bad coach. It's just, you know, college football is a different level from the pros. And I think he's starting to figure that out a little bit. But still, like I said, he's got the resume. He's got 3 Super Bowl rings. He knows what he's doing. But I think the university thought along the same lines I did. Now, all of Willingham's players starting this year, they're all gone. This is all Charlie's guys. And I honestly think that if we don't get the results after this season, I'm afraid Charlie might be out of a job, but I hope it goes the other way. Now, on to recruiting. We had a pretty good recruiting class, and a lot of 4-star players, a few 3-stars, but the 2 recruits that really stick out to me is one, Sierra Wood, running back out of California, 6 foot, 192 pounds, and I've seen clips of this guy. Let me tell you something, he can run, and I think he'll be a great addition to Notre Dame's running back core. And of course, the big standout that we saw all over the news was linebacker Monty Teo from Hawaii. And looking at his numbers here, 6'2", 225 pounds, that is a beast of a linebacker. Now, I haven't seen any clips of him, but from what I hear about him, this guy can hit, and he hits hard. And I think he will be a great addition to Notre Dame's defense. Now, our 2009 schedule looks like this. We have 7 home games, 4 away games, and 1 game at a neutral site. And our home games consist of Nevada, Michigan State, Washington, Southern California, Boston College, Navy, UConn, and that appears to be it. And our road games are Michigan, Purdue, Washington State, Stanford, and Pitt. Washington State, of course, being the neutral site at, I think it's the new Cowboys Stadium. But now, I know some of you hear that schedule and you're thinking, wow, Notre Dame has a weak schedule. Man. Well, I don't look at it that way. You see, just because a team doesn't have a number in front of them that's 25 or higher doesn't mean that they're not a good football team. I mean, you don't think Nevada's not going to come out and want to play their hearts out and try to beat us? I think they will do just that. Same thing with Washington and Navy and UConn. I mean, I would not underestimate these teams because, you know, they've got, every team has some talent, and just because they're not ranked in the top 25 doesn't mean that they're not a good team. And I'll say one thing as far as Notre Dame's schedule goes. I mean, okay, not all of them are top 25 teams, but at least we don't have any, you know, Youngstown States or Montana States or Jacksonville States in there. I mean, you know, but yet you see all these SEC teams and these ACC teams. They have all these Division II schools or Division I AA or whatever it's called now. You know, they're not one of the 116 teams at the top level. So I don't get why our schedule's so bad or why people scrutinize us for that. But anyway, with that being said, one thing that I do want to address all Notre Dame fans on is, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, you guys are the greatest fans in college football. Now, I've been a part of Notre Dame football ever since I was old enough to walk. I have 2 uncles that graduated from there, a cousin that's going to be graduating from there this year. One of those uncles currently works at the university, and just from what I've seen at games, and like I said, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, you guys are a complete class act. I mean, even when we're down, you guys are there for your team, and you stick with them till the very end, even through the worst of times. And, you know, despite what Mark May says or Lee Corso says, you guys stick by that team, and I just cannot admire you guys enough for that. But we are ND, and we will prevail. So, with that being said, this is where I'm going to call it quits for this episode, and I want to let everyone know that, assuming my my work schedule doesn't interfere, I'm planning on doing an on-location show at the University of Notre Dame on campus during the season opener against Nevada, and so look out for that. And go Irish, kiss my ass, Lee Corso, and especially to you, Mark May, you can kiss my ass of anybody on ESPN. Go Irish.